Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore. We are live in Miami Beach. It's Super Bowl 54. I see the banner up above us. I see the Sporticulture Kansas City Chiefs helmet here and the San Francisco 49er helmet. And Ross Tucker is here to tell us what the hell happened, because we're tired of hearing from other people say what's happening with the Ravens. This has been kind of tough to come down here and see the sea of red descend upon something that 2 weeks ago I was at the Baldinger Castle planning purple parties from West Palm down to, Joe Stone Crab,
Well, you're preaching in the choir, bro. I mean, I was at the game against the Titans. I was in the booth for Westwood 1, and I knew that I'd be doing a conference championship game on the sideline for Westwood 1 the following weekend.
You had crab cakes in mind. You knew.
Well, not only that, dude, if the Ravens won, that's an hour and 15 minutes from my house. I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Instead, the Ravens lost. I had to drive to Philly, fly to San Francisco, 6.5-hour flight, do that game, red eye back for the same money.
And you love your family.
I'm mad at the Ravens. The Ravens basically cost me 40 hours of my life, dude. I would have just driven down to Baltimore, had a crab cake, driven back. I love everything.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to
Ravens.
get out of Baltimore after the championship game because we would have just surrounded the stadium. No one would have left for a week. You wouldn't have been able to get home. So it might have cost you more.
Honestly, I can tell you what happened. What happened was several critical plays early in the game went the Titans' way. The one-handed catch, obviously, they get stuffed on 4th and short. No idea where Lamar – frankly, I don't know where Lamar was going on either 4th and short. I mean, the second one, I've never even seen that play. Like a quarterback sneak, or it looks like he's going out in the C gap and then comes back down. I don't know what happened. But after they get the first 4th down stop, they take the shot, 14-0, and it really did feel like after that Greg Roman, who I love, Greg Roman, he got away from his game plan, man. And I know you're able to get chunk plays off a play action on first down. Totally understand that. But they drop back to pass every first down after that. How many 2nd and 10s did they have? Because it was incomplete passes on first down.
That was the thing that I saw a few games of you, and you come on every couple months with us, and you host other radio. What else? Promote what you're doing, and then I'll get back into the game.
Yeah. Well, so I would just say, so right now I have a daily show on the radio.com app. It's called Home and Home.
Okay.
Still doing all the podcasts, Ross Tucker podcast, and obviously the big one this week is the Even Money Sports Betting podcast. But I'm also here this week for myfrontpagestory.com, which is the best Valentine's Day gift ever. You literally talk to a writer for 10 minutes on the phone about your wife, girlfriend, whatever. They write the story, send it to you. It's framed. And for you to be able to give to your wife and say, honey, I want to do something special for you this year. I had a story written about you. And then they see the quotes where it's like, I just don't tell her enough how much I appreciate her, said Nestor.
So it's not like a Hallmark card. It's
a professional writer.
Right,
these guys write for newspapers. They're doing this on the side, and you only have to talk to them for 10 minutes. I'm just telling you, when your wife sees in what looks like it's on the cover of the Baltimore Sun and sees quotes from you and knows that you took the time to have a story written
That's
about
better than
her
chocolate.
and quotes. Dude, it's way better than flowers, chocolate. Because here's the thing. Nobody she knows has ever gotten one before. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You'll be the hero. She'll post it on Instagram and be like, look how much my husband loves me.
See how much Ross Tucker loves you? He wants your wife to love you more.
Myfrontpagestory.com. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. By the way, I didn't realize Towson's that big a deal that you say Towson, Baltimore.
Well, our radio station is licensed to Towson and Towson, Baltimore. So, yes, we're a Towson company, 21286.
I was just talking with Rob Ambrose last week, head coach of Towson.
Absolutely. The Mighty Tigers.
Mighty Tigers. What a job he's done with that program, by the way.
Big shout out. Anybody sees Tim Leonard, tell him I'm looking for him. Make sure you look. 2nd and 10. The thing I noticed the most when I started to believe that this could work, right? Like, which was, 3rd, 4th, 5th game of last year, right? A year and a half ago. Maybe right around the time where we almost beat Mahomes out in Kansas City and the Jedi pass and all that that happened, right? The down and distances that the Ravens were running out of, especially after the era of Joe Flacco, which was swing pass, incompletion, no running game when you tried to have it. Joe suffered from second and long as a disease, and it was tackles jumping off, it was holding pen, anything that could put you in second and undesirable. Let's just call it whatever undesirables more than 7 or 8, right? That's bad. The Ravens were living in second and 1, 2, and 3 during the entire Lamar era. That's been this. If you go back and look at the wins and look at the losses, look at second down. And I noticed that first and said, boy, that's something to think about. If you could always get 7 or 8 yards on first down, you'd never give the ball up, right?
Right, but the problem is, I'm okay with second and I'm okay with second 10 every once in a while, but there was 10 or 11 of them. Brady Quinn tweeted at me during the game. It was 11 second and 10s at some point. I mean, it's unacceptable. It's disappointing, and the Titans had a great game plan because even when Lamar did drop back, the Titans went with kind of like a cage rush, and they kept him in there. He only broke out of there like one time maybe for any significant yardage.
Give Dean P some credit.
They made him be a pocket passer, and I'm also disappointed because I feel like that Chiefs-Ravens game would have been epic.
Yeah.
In Baltimore, that would have been like an all-time great game. And I think the Ravens could have beat the Chiefs because I think they could have run the ball right down the Chiefs' throat. The Titans are a little bit tougher, I feel like.
Now you're going to tell me we should have been here. Great.
Well, I looked it up. To your point, Ross, 38 yards on their first 22 first down snaps.
That's unbelievable.
And
that's unbelievable.
And you mentioned this, but I looked
it up.
And
a lot of it was because they threw the ball and had incompletion.
Their last design for, not counting a couple Lamar scrambles where he dropped back and decided to take off, but their last design run on first down, the 9:03 mark of the second quarter. We can talk about run-pass ratio and
drop passes.
Look at the 2-minute drive at the end of the second quarter. The final 20 minutes of the game, they're down multiple scores. Okay, you're going to throw the ball, but certainly you can look at least first down and say it got out of whack.
And you say drop passes. They did have some early that hurt them, but I would also say they made that game their receivers against the Titans DBs. That's a bad matchup for the Ravens.
Right.
I'm watching Willie Snead and Seth Rock. Those guys. That's the worst matchup on the field. Was the Ravens wide receivers against the Titans DBs, and yet that ended up being the focus once they got in those second and 10s and once they could keep Lamar in the pocket. That was a bad look. That should not have happened. I know I'm not making you feel better, but
you're not. Ross Tucker's bumming me out. He's leaving.
Well, Ross, where do they go from here? Because I think the important balance here is understanding that this team went 14-2.
It's early.
This team broke records. I don't think anything is, quote, broken, but also understanding that teams on their schedule have another year now to look at this and not stop it, but figure out ways to do what the Titans did, to slow it down a little bit more.
Right.
What's the next step for them to stay ahead of the curve?
So I'm not trying to be like the bearer of bad news here, right? But the reality is they had the number 1 seed. They won 14 games. Lamar stayed healthy all year. You don't know how often that's going to happen.
Right.
They were a very healthy team. Who did they lose? Skura? They lose anybody else other than Skura?
Tavon early in the year.
Tavon Young in training camp. Tony
Jefferson.
But their offense remained incredibly healthy.
And by the way,
Andrews was banged up but played.
Yeah.
But by the way, that is very few in the big scheme at NFL teams.
Of course.
Very few.
Well, if you go count man games,
they were very healthy last year too. That was one of the undersold parts of their second half rebound a little bit.
But then also, their teams are going to spend the entire offseason trying to come up with ways to slow down Lamar and that scheme. Greg Roman better have some more tricks up his sleeve, because I can guarantee you, I'm not saying they're going to shut down Lamar in the offense at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're going to have a better plan. They're going to work on it all offseason.
Winning 12 games in a row by 30-plus points is going to be a little difficult thing to do, right?
It's not going to happen. And we know how important it is. 7 straight years, guys. You got to get a bye. You got to get a bye to get to the Super Bowl. 7 straight years.
2012 Ravens, last team that didn't have a bye.
Yes. So now you think about it to get to the Super Bowl, and they won it. So now you think about it. Patriots are probably going to be, if Brady's back, they're always in the mix for a bye. The Chiefs, look like they're going to be in a mix for. It's going to be competitive. The Steelers are going to be better again. I'm not saying it's over for the Ravens. It's not at all. They're going to be in the mix the next 3 to 5 years. I'm just saying, unfortunately, this year was like a golden opportunity that doesn't come along that often.
I think the goal for their offense needs to be, look, no one wants to fall behind 2 scores. I mean, Kansas City's been able to do this remarkable run in the postseason where they've fallen behind early, but I think they do need to look at how can they play a little bit better when they're off schedule. Can they find another receiver that can help them make some plays on the outside? Not that's Lamar's wheelhouse, right, but he was better outside the numbers this year than he was last year. Can you find another receiver that can help you do that other than Marquise Brown? Because it's other than him, it was the tight ends down the middle of the field, which worked great, but to your point, teams know that.
They're always going to be tight ends down the middle of the field.
Sure.
Isn't that what they're always going to be?
Correct. And we were always going to be curious to see what would happen if they fell behind, and we saw it, and it wasn't pretty.
Right.
It wasn't pretty at all.
And the reaction to it wasn't pretty, maybe, as well.
Agreed. But also, defensively, they had opportunities that they didn't take advantage of either.
They couldn't stop.
It's not all on the offense either. The defense had their chances. I mean, it was just –
they didn't look like they wanted to tackle Derek too much at the end, right? And they knew that all week long getting him to the ground was going to be the difference as to whether Lamar gets to walk back on the field. They weren't good at that. And we should have known, and we talked about this over the last couple of years when there's no Brandon Williams, when they've been susceptible to the run, Chubb, in other games. Those are the games they lose. When they can't get the ball back, they are going to struggle.
Yeah, and I think, in fairness, I thought Arthur Smith, the coordinator for the Titans, called an unbelievable game. The shot play, Ryan Tannehill running the option down the line, the jump pass. I mean, in fairness, sometimes it's just not your day, bro.
They deserve a lot of credit. There's no question.
Yeah.
This was different for us. Even being here with you in front of this Kansas City Chiefs helmet, it feels different to me because we got our ass kicked. And when you go and talk to Mark Ingram after, we got our ass whooped. I mean, and he stood at the locker and said that. This is different than Billy Cundiff and Lee Evans and other, when it just slipped between your fingers, and when you go and you lose in that fashion, and we're here weeks, and it'll be months later, and we'll be talking about that during the bye week next January if they're 13-3,
easier to take or tougher to take if it was a close game?
No,
and they played
I think tougher to take.
Right.
I think when you lose,
you get your butt kicked, you're like, we got our butt kicked. What are you going to do?
When the ball's going up in the air and things are happening and Ryan Tannehill's out there looking like Montana,
And the thing is they still had a chance. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, all of that stuff went against
Montana,
them.
But you know what I mean.
And they still had a chance.
Flacco.
Crazy.
All right, give us a little primer for this game, because obviously we can lament they're going to play a game here this week. This is as competitive as Super Bowl, and I think maybe because Brady and Belichick aren't here and there's all of that weight and all the newness of the people and the personalities and to some degree the franchise in Kansas City, this is a great game to talk about unto itself if we weren't talking about Kobe Bryant and all the other stuff, impeachment, all the other weird stuff going on in the world, right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. There are reasons why I like both teams, both personally and as teams. I think I lean towards the Niners winning the game just because it feels like when there's an elite quarterback against a team that's more elite and better up front, both sides of the ball, doesn't it feel like the team that's better up front usually wins those matchups? In my mind, it seems like it does. Because my initial reaction was, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Close game, but they got Mahomes late, blah, blah, blah. And I'm fine with that logic, but it's hard to unsee what I saw when I was in San Francisco. I'm on the sideline, guys, and every run felt like it was going to be a house call. Like, what the heck? I mean, I'm on the sideline, and every time they give the ball to Mostert,
who looked like Gale Sayers
the
in
whole,
that game.
The whole
right.
crowd was like, Savage just grabs his ankle. Right. Oh, here you go. Oh, Jair Alexander grabs. I mean, it felt like every run was going to be to the house. It was like a high school game. I've never seen anything like it where it felt like every run he was going to the house. I thought it was embarrassing for the Packers, quite frankly. I thought it was extremely impressive for the Niners. And it's funny, I was telling somebody else here, you think about Mostert, okay, ran like a 4.3, like he killed his pro day, even though he didn't really hardly get the ball at all at Purdue. Breida, okay, is another guy that had the fastest next-gen mile per hour of the whole season. And both those guys, undrafted guys, I've figured out Kyle Shanahan's secret. He likes super fast guys that are really poor. He likes them fast and poor, because if there's a hole and you're poor and you're fast, you are running, baby. I mean, did you see the way Mostert was hitting that?
Oh,
I mean, he
wow.
was boom,
Well,
shot out of a cannon. Was he for the Ravens ever? I know
Yes,
he was the
yes.
Eagles.
2015 for about 4 weeks.
Isn't
Yeah.
that unbelievable?
Yeah.
He played for every
6
team.
other teams before.
Dude, can you imagine?
And it's not
if
like
he
the
was,
49ers rolled out the carpet either. He languished with them for a couple of
Can
years.
you imagine if he played for the Ravens? This Ravens team with some of the holes they get.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Ingram hits it pretty good.
They coulda saved some
I
money.
like the Gus bus. If they had Mostert, you know how many of those are house calls? Like, he's fast.
Home run hitter, yep.
Yeah, Ingram and Gus, that's not their deal.
What do you
By the
make
way-
of a
by the
guy
way,
that falls through the
They
cracks
should
like
have
that?
given the ball to Gus more in that game, too. I'm still mad.
Yeah.
Ingram was clearly not 100%. How many times did they even give the ball to a running back in that game? 9 the whole game?
9, I believe.
The whole game?
I believe, off the top of my head.
So mad about that, dude.
Well,
40 hours of my life. Although, in San Francisco, they had Anchor Steam beer on ice after the game in the press box.
That's not bad.
There's a reason why they're in the Super Bowl.
That's just Santa Clara.
Their organization decided, let's be awesome at everything. And you know what? You guys didn't have crab cakes at halftime.
I'll talk to Kevin Byrne about
You tried
that.
to save it for the AFC Championship game. You can't save it.
There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that going on. A lot of people assumed.
Yes.
And we were guilty of it as much as anyone. Beginning of the
I'm in South
postseason,
Florida
we're
taking
talking about
pictures.
Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. We're talking about that.
You really came down here to, like, scout things out?
You have to. Yes, I mean, I had 200 hotel rooms. I had 10 buses. I had people. I had 5,000 people coming to Dave & Buster's up at Sheridan. We had purple lights on the outside. Yes, yes, yes.
So he jinxed it, is what we're saying.
It was my fault.
So, dude, they cost you a lot of money.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
He laughs.
Hey, they cost me too.
Devious.
You know what,
Harrisburg,
though?
Pennsylvania,
You know what,
Ross
though?
Tucker.
You know what,
This
though?
is his final time on the show. Enjoy it.
You know what, though? Nobody, like, I've been on in Baltimore a couple times talking to people. It seems like most people's reaction is, it was a great year. Whatever. It doesn't seem like in Philly, people would be pissed. And people would be like, we missed a golden opportunity.
Oh,
it feels like in Baltimore, people are like, well, it was still a great season.
Oh, I mean, a lot of people were like, I can't believe you're going to go down there and, like, broadcast all week and, like, talk more about it.
I think so
I'm
much
like,
of
this is what we
that
do.
is how young they are. Even though, to your point, it was a colossal missed opportunity because who gets hurt next year? How's the schedule play out? I mean, there's so many different factors that even if they're from a talent standpoint, even if they're better next year from a pure talent standpoint, that doesn't mean they're going 14-2.
And you know what's crazy? Think about this, guys. Think about 2 things that happened in Week 17 that I believe changed who's in this Super Bowl, okay? The Dolphins win in New England.
Right.
If the Dolphins don't win in New England, the Patriots are the number 2 seed. And the Chiefs are the 3 seed that have to go to New England. First, they got to win a game. Then to New England. Then probably to Baltimore. I don't think the Chiefs make the Super Bowl in that case. And the Niners, the Seahawks are at the 1-yard line. Okay? Seahawks are at the 1-yard line. A delay game. Then they don't call pass interference on Hollister. Then Greenlaw hits Hollister, the best hit maybe I've ever seen in my life. He was 1 inch from a touchdown, and the linebacker hit a tight end. Whap! I mean, that was awesome. But any of those go differently. Seahawks score there. Niners are the 5 seed playing in Philly. We have 2 different teams in the Super Bowl. Take your Sporticulture. Did you pay for this or you get these?
No, Sporticulture's my sponsor, dude. That's what we do around here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sporticulture's my people, man.
That is awesome.
That's my dude. So I have a Raven one on the set, and he like offered me flowers. I'm like, can't do. He said I'll ship them straight. Nah, I can't. The pots. And I said they're not going to fit. And he's like, well, what about the little planters? And I'm like, I'm so afraid of breaking it, because these are lovely. Well, that one's not lovely.
Those
this
are
one's
awesome.
fine.
So here, let me just ask
This reminds me of beating their ass in New Orleans and having a lot of fun.
But if you live in Baltimore, okay,
Yeah.
or Towson, how do you not have one of these that's Ravens?
I don't know. They're pretty cool.
Sporticulture.com?
Sporticulture.com, yes.
Sporticulture.com. How
you
do
go.
you not have one of those?
I don't know. It's beautiful.
Hey, by the way, did you see how much Nestor does not trust me with that.
Give me
Both
that.
times
He was very uneasy
yes!
about it.
Do you think I'm gonna dump the mud out? Or do you think
what
I'm
position did you play in National Football
offensive
League?
line?
Yeah, but that's
Do you
not
think
a
I'm
hands
gonna
guy.
crush it with my
You're not a
bare
hands guy.
hands?
You're not a hands
Dude,
guy.
he is so nervous
He
about
is.
that. Dude, if
that
I
down.
break it, I will go to sporticulture.com, okay, and I
You'll
will
call
buy
court.
another one.
Try
Paul
having
Ford.
some water around his laptop. Boy, that's
John Harbaugh came onto the set in New York. I'm surprised you didn't hear me scream. Were you on Radio Row New York year? Yeah,
Yes.
you were there in the Sheraton, right? Harbaugh comes in the back door. He's the reigning champion. His wife's texting me from the train. John wants to come by and visit and do a thing. Comes in the back door, comes in, and literally, you see my Liberty Pure Solutions water? By the way, you can acleanwater.com. That's what I'm drinking, not this swill they have down, this Everglades water. But Harbaugh comes and knocks the water directly onto this computer. And I'm turning the computer sideways. It's all on live cam. Live.
yeah, we
That's
were getting
great
ready to come back
content.
from a break.
That's
It was
great
rough.
audio.
It was
so,
rough.
So no joke. One time I was filling in for Dan Patrick's show.
What'd you do?
Show
Did you pee your pants in his seat?
No, show
okay.
is from 9 to noon, okay? I come back, 8:59. I come back, I hit my water onto my laptop
As you went on national radio.
Oh,
and TV. It's on TV.
Okay.
It's on NBC. Fried. Computer was fried.
So I've owned a station for 21 years.
I did 3 hours. 3 hours without a computer. And here's the thing. You're going to say bottled water always. They wouldn't let me have bottled water because the sponsor thing. I know I should just rip the label off, but instead they had cups like this.
This is a Royal Farms coffee cup. This is sturdy.
Nice.
So when I was at Sporting News Radio,
he had to stop.
back at the turn of the century, 101 Sports, we were in Chicago. And, you know,
Is this a half-hour radio spot? I got to go.
all right,
He's gotta
so-
go.
One last thing. Tell me a sporting news story.
No.
MyFrontPageStory.com, where all your hopes and dreams come true. And the Ross Tucker podcast.
For
Go ahead.
Valentine's Day. We had a little cage going into the studio where you had to leave your soda, Doritos, whatever, and it was like a serious thing because they had destroyed so many boards with
Oh, my
Cheeto
gosh.
fingers and
Yeah.
water and soda and whatnot. And I get it, you know.
It was a bad feeling. Just like the Ravens not being here. But that's okay. We moved on.
Go to
Good
Harrisburg.
year. Hey, next year,
You
hopefully
still have
the
your ball
Ravens will
thing?
be there. Nah, not really.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay.
I moved on.
Okay, I just
I
want to
was
make
a
sure.
consultant for them. I got some ownership in MyFrontPageStory.com.
Ross
Best
Tucker's a good
Valentine's
man.
Day gift ever. See you, dude.
Go listen to his podcast.
See ya.
You can
Thanks, Ross.
disappear.
Always.
I'll plug all the
Always.
sponsors. You can roll on. There he
All
goes.
right, see ya.
Drop the mic fully. Just drop it. There. Look at that. Drop the mic. Place the Sporticulture helmets is what we do. Luke Jones is here.
He enjoyed
big thanks,
that.
Big thanks to Ross Tucker. MyFrontPagesStory.com. That's the way to do that. There you go. I gave a little plug for Ross here. We're on Radio Row. We're in Miami. All of this beautiful stuff brought to you by our friends at Cole Roofing as well, sponsor of our community and charity series. All the Baltimore positive work we're doing. And I want to make sure that I give, because my Raskin Global shirt isn't like getting in the way I wanted it to because of the way the thing is. So my apologies to Leonard. So what I've done is these are he has investments. This is lip balm, but I want to thank Leonard Raskin. He'll be here on Friday hanging out. We have such great sponsors and people that allow us to come and do this and provide cool stuff. And they're our sponsors. So, and big thanks to Liberty Pure as well. Doug's teaching me a lot about water and well water. And the water down here really does stink. I mean, if you don't bring your own water to Florida or California, it tastes salty, dude.
In California?
And in Florida. Yeah, there are places where you get good water, like Ross Tucker's from Pennsylvania. I would say the Northeast, we have delicious water.
Yeah.
Like when you travel in Maine, New England.
I've never really thought about it, but sure.
But
Yeah.
no, it's true.
I'm not disputing it,
water
I'm
in
just-
Florida has, and Doug can explain all of the alkaline and the salination. But the bottom line is well water. If you're drinking it, we have well water at WNST. Our friends at Liberty Pure, that's what they do. So make sure you go check them out. Get your fresh water. Big thanks to Matt Stover for that. We have so many guests coming up this week, and we're going to be here all week, and it is a little tough talking, Ray.
It is.
We're early on in this, and that's not the first nerdity. We're going to go back in time to the second quarter and the third quarter and what happened and all the stats, and it sucks.
And he provided, I wouldn't say, some people would say a pessimistic outlook, but a realistic outlook. And from the standpoint of, for every story, 2012 Ravens redemption for 2011, there are plenty of stories of a team that
Never gets
had that
redemption.
chance
Yeah.
and never even got back to that point. And that's where we talked about this. Look, there's plenty to love about the Ravens moving forward. No one's disputing that, but 14-2 is really tough to do.
Next year, I want the sport of culture.
Number 1 seed, really tough to do. And to his point, we've talked about this the last couple years. Last team to get to a Super Bowl, let alone win it, that did not have a first-round bye was the 2012 Ravens. So maybe the Ravens will be the team that changes that next year. Maybe they only go 11-5 and they're the number 3 seed. But it is a reminder that it's tough to come up short when you've been not just that good for that long, that great for that long. We talked about it, 3 months of dominance that just disappeared in 3 hours. And that's a hard reality to swallow, and that's what they're going to live with and try to grind through over the next 12 months until they hope to be in this position in Tampa next year.
Doesn't make the Cuban food taste any better down here, I assure you of that. The buyatoyota.com audio vault is there 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device, including all the stuff we're doing down here. It's up on our YouTube TV channel, WNST TV channel, as well as our Facebook Live as well. LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere you are, we are. A little warmer than you, although it was a little chilly here in the convention hall. We're at the Miami Beach Convention Center doing all things Super Bowl 54. Our coverage continues on WNST, where we never stop talking Baltimore sports.